Welcome back to WION World is One. You're watching Speed News with me, Vidur Kathuria. Let's get started. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has landed at Joint Base Andrews in Maryland ahead of his meeting with US President Donald Trump at the White House. This marks their sixth such encounter in the US since Trump returned to office a year ago. Netanyahu met Trump's special envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner ahead of talks with Trump. Netanyahu's office said the top priority in his talks with Trump would be the ongoing negotiations with Iran and Israel's concerns over Iran's missile arsenal besides the nuclear program. Trump said the Israeli premier wants a deal with Iran and that the current talks on Tehran's nuclear program show promise. It is day 45 of protests in Iran. Activist body HRNA reports that 6,984 have been killed, including over 6,400 protesters and over 200 children. Moreover, at least 19 prisoners were reportedly executed at dawn in multiple cities across Iran on charges related to drug offences and murder. Authorities have not officially announced the executions. A total of 676 protest-related incidents have been recorded in 210 cities across 31 provinces nationwide. Protests were marked by nighttime chants, police presence, internet disruptions, and mass arrests. Mass protests in Iran broke out in January when people took to the streets against the regime's crackdown. US President Donald Trump's Board of Peace has reportedly drafted a plan on phased disarmament of Hamas. It plans to share the document with Hamas in the coming weeks, even as Israel signals that progress towards a broader Gaza peace plan remains stalled. According to a report in the New York Times, the draft plan would allow Hamas to retain limited small arms while surrendering most long-range weapons. It claims the disarmament process is expected to take months, with key details on enforcement and weapons custody still unclear. Palestine has launched a bid for presidency of UN General Assembly. Palestine is not a full UN member and attends the assembly as an observer state. But despite this, its envoy to the world body has officially launched his candidacy for president of the 81st session of the General Assembly. The 193-member UN General Assembly selects its leader each year on the basis of regional rotation, and it is the Asia-Pacific group's turn to fill the slot. The president is responsible for presiding over its session, representing its decisions and facilitating negotiations among member states. Russian strikes on eastern Ukraine kill at least 6 civilians, including 4 in the eastern city of Bogodukhiv and 2 in Sloviansk. Several others have been wounded. Bogodukhiv is located in the Kharkiv region, where Russian forces have recently stepped up attacks on transport and energy infrastructure. The attacks in Kharkiv and Donetsk regions have targeted cities. This comes after Ukrainian and Russian officials held US-mediated talks in Abu Dhabi aimed at ending Russia's nearly 4-year invasion. The two sides conducted a prisoner swap last week, though an agreement to draw a line under the conflict still seems distant. At least 9 people have been killed in related shootings at a community in northeastern British Columbia. The suspected shooter was found dead and 2 people were seriously injured in the mass shooting. The community of 2,000 people was placed under lockdown after news came in of an active shooter at Tumbler Ridge Secondary School. Public safety officials say this is one of the worst mass shootings in their province and the country's history. Taiwan is strengthening its defenses against China. It has deployed ATACMS and HIMARS missile systems nearly 10 kilometers from Chinese shores. Beijing has issued a stark warning to Taipei and Washington. China's Ministry of National Defense spokesperson says any attempt by Taiwan or its allies to provoke war will lead to its own destruction. Taiwan and US have launched Joint Firepower Coordination Center. According to reports, Taiwan has moved its US-made HIMARS rocket systems to its frontline islands near China. A passenger aircraft carrying up to 50 people veered off the runway at Somalia's main airport onto the nearby shoreline during an emergency crash landing following a technical problem. Shortly after takeoff, rescue operations were launched to evacuate passengers from the aircraft. The plane had taken off from the Aden Abdulle International Airport in Mogadishu and was bound for the northern city of Galkayo when it developed a problem about 15 minutes after takeoff. The Justice Department has unredacted more names in the Jeffrey Epstein files after pressure from lawmakers. Earlier, Congressman Ro Khanna named the 6 high-profile men that are included in the unredacted version of the documents. Khanna named US businessman Leslie Wexner, the founder of Victoria's Secret, and Emirati businessman who is the CEO of DP World, among others. Khanna did not provide evidence of wrongdoing against any of them, nor have they been charged with a crime in connection with Epstein. Lawmakers are also calling for action against Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Lutnick has admitted to having lunch on Epstein's private island in 2012, 4 years after the disgraced financier was sentenced. Colombia's President Gustavo Petro said that he had escaped what he described as an assassination attempt while flying in a helicopter. During a live-streamed cabinet meeting, Petro referred to an event when he said his helicopter could not land at its planned destination because of fears that people were going to shoot at it. After arriving in Cordoba, Petro did a helicopter flight over the area after heavy rains caused flooding. Petro also mentioned he ordered the retirement of a police general accusing him of trying to sabotage his meeting with the US President Donald Trump at the White House on February 3rd. A Colombian senator was rescued from kidnappers as the country's president reported an attempt on his own life in the run-up to the elections that observers have warned could be marred by violence. Senator Ada Kilcu, an indigenous activist and human rights prize recipient, was taken by unknown people in her home department of Cauca, a conflict-ridden region controlled by large part by dissidents of the now disbanded FARC guerrilla army. The 53-year-old was rescued by a group of indigenous people hours after the vehicle she had been traveling with 2 bodyguards in was found abandoned. India will continue to import cheap and high-quality oil from non-sanctioned sources. Top officials from External Affairs and Commerce Ministries tell a parliamentary panel in a detailed 3-hour meeting. The officials also conveyed to the committee that India will work on finalizing the interim agreement with the US. This after US imposed a reciprocal tariff of 18% on Indian goods, down from 50% levied earlier. US Trade Representative Jamieson Greer claims India is reducing Russian oil imports and increasing energy purchases from the US. After US President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Narendra Modi agreed on an interim trade framework last week. Three people were killed and another 6 injured after a Pemex pipeline exploded in the isthmus of Mexico's Oaxaca state. Members of the army and the police were deployed and seen at the site of the accident. Emergency services were also on the scene. Dozens of relatives of political prisoners gathered outside Venezuela's National Assembly in Caracas to demand the swift release of their loved ones and greater participation in discussions over a proposed amnesty law. Demonstrators holding banners and chanting slogans call for the immediate freedom for detainees they say have been unjustly imprisoned. Some families report they have not seen their relatives for months and do not know if they are alive. Meanwhile, the UN said that Venezuela's humanitarian response plan was only 19% funded in 2025, but humanitarian partners have helped over 2 million people. In Tunisia, a local startup has developed a simple but effective tool to combat plastic pollution and urban flooding. The Zigo filter created by WION is being installed in rainwater drainage systems across the country. In the narrow streets of Le Cram, a coastal municipality near Tunis, municipal workers were seen installing the steel filtration unit inside a drainage channel. The device, known as Zigo filter, is designed to trap solid waste before it clogs drainage systems or is carried into the sea. Since its launch in 2019 by Tunisian startup WION, more than 2,500 filters have been installed in over 25 municipalities. The sea ice in southwestern Greenland has yet to freeze this winter, threatening traditional livelihoods. According to a 2022 study in scientific journal Nature, the Arctic region is on the front line of global warming, heating up 4 times faster than the rest of the planet since 1979 and causing the sea ice to retreat. This majorly impacts the seal population, who rely on pack ice to give birth, to rest and for protection. Estonia opened its first official ice road of the winter, connecting the islands of Hiiumaa and Saaremaa as extreme weather and low water levels expedite the freezing of the Baltic Sea. The 17-kilometer route, equipped with road signs and marked with juniper branches, provides a vital connection between the islands, with many ferry services suspended due to severe weather. Despite limited official routes, residents continued to use unofficial ice roads across the frozen Baltic Sea, including a 7-kilometer stretch between the mainland and Vormsea Island. Nearly 500 wild birds were rescued by law enforcement from a house on the side of a road in Ucayali in the Peruvian Amazon. The birds were being held to be sold illegally on the private market. According to the Environmental Prosecutor's Office, the birds were in 3 cages while the animals were transferred to a regional government facility in Ucayali to be returned to the forest. These birds are native to the Amazon and feed on worms, fruits, seeds and flowers. They measure about 25 centimeters and have yellow and white feather stripes on the outer parts of their wings. US retail sales were unexpectedly flat in December, failing to grow from November and missing forecasts for a 0.4% rise, indicating consumer spending lost momentum at the end of the holiday season. The Commerce Department's data showed sales held steady at about $735 billion, following a 0.6% increase in November as households pulled back on big-ticket items like vehicles and furniture. Core retail sales, which exclude volatile categories, also stalled, signaling tepid underlying demand. Economists say the flat reading points to a softer start to 2026 for US consumer spending. Asian stocks traded mixed on Wednesday, high on Wednesday despite AI fears and weak economic data on Wall Street spooking US investors. Investors focused on the latest China inflation figures, with Japan closed for a holiday and light volume in many regions. Mainland China indices held near previous levels, with investors pricing in potential policy signals from the inflation data. South Korea's Kospi showed resilience amid broader regional volatility. Hong Kong markets saw tech stocks offering support as risk appetite stirred slightly. S&P 500 futures edged higher and Nikkei futures rose, but stocks stalled as global risk lingered after softer than expected US retail sales weakened sentiment. Gold and silver prices remained volatile on Wednesday, edging slightly higher as US Treasury yields fell after December retail sales showed no growth, signaling softer economic momentum and boosting the appeal of precious metals. Spot gold edged about 0.3% higher before slightly falling again. The yellow metal traded around $5,000 an ounce, while spot silver traded between $81 and $82 an ounce. Lower Treasury yields make non-yielding assets like gold more attractive, with markets expecting at least 2 Fed rate cuts in 2026. Investors are also watching upcoming US jobs and inflation data for further policy clues. Indian gold ETF flows have increased amid price gains and geopolitical risks. Oil prices were largely stable on Wednesday as traders remained cautious amid ongoing tensions between the US and Iran, which could affect supply flows through key routes like the Strait of Hormuz. Brent crude hovered near $69 a barrel, while the US crude also saw modest support as geopolitical uncertainty lingered. Markets eyed ongoing diplomatic efforts and naval movements, with potential supply disruptions offsetting any immediate direction. Investors also watched for US inventory data for further market signals. Apple and Google have agreed to make their mobile app stores fairer and more transparent for developers. The Competition and Markets Authority said the tech giants will ensure store rankings and reviews operate fairly and safeguard developer data. Developers will also get access to more iOS features to build competing products, including digital wallets and live translation. The deal does not change Apple or Google's commission, which can go up to 30%, but the CMA will continue engaging on payment options. Google has received unconditional EU antitrust approval for its $32 billion acquisition of cybersecurity firm Wiz, its largest deal ever. The European Commission said the deal raises no competition concerns and customers will still have alternatives in cloud services. The acquisition will boost Google's cybersecurity and cloud presence against rivals Amazon and Microsoft. Regulators also confirmed any data acquired will not limit access for other security software companies. Telegram messaging app reportedly faces fines of up to 64 million rubles in 8 upcoming Russian court hearings. State news agency RIA said that hearings were in connection with alleged failures by Telegram to remove information required by Russian law. Telegram, founded by Russian-born entrepreneur Pavel Durov, is a hugely important channel for private and public communications in and about Russia. Newsmakers of all kinds, including the Kremlin and the exiled opposition, all use it constantly to distribute information instantly to a large audience. China plans to use artificial intelligence in public tendering and bidding to detect corruption and backroom deals. AI tools will flag irregularities, monitor review committees, and provide human-like recommendations to help enforce discipline and laws. The move follows President Xi Jinping's long-running anti-graft campaign and earlier success in Xinjiang, where AI helped detect bribery in tender processes. According to the officials, big data can provide leads to unravel cases that would be impossible to monitor manually. Pakistan warmed up for their T20 World Cup clash against India by beating the United States by 32 runs. The USA famously defeated Pakistan in a super over in the 2024 edition of the World Cup. But there was no upset this time around. Sahibzada Farhan 74 off 41 balls and Babar Azam's 48 from 32 helped Pakistan post 190. The USA made a strong start in their reply but fell away, finishing on 158 for 8 in their 20 overs. Pakistan have now won both their group stage matches so far. Meanwhile, the USA will look for their first win of the tournament when they face the Netherlands on Friday. That's it on this edition of Speed News. News and updates will continue on the other side of this short break. Keep watching me on World is One.